There are books that entertain, books that inform, and then there are books that transform. The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino belongs to the last category. Written in 1968, this small volume has become one of the most enduring works in the field of personal development and success literature. On the surface, it may appear to be a book about selling, a manual for salespeople, but to limit it to that interpretation would be like calling the ocean simply a place to swim. At its core, Mandino's masterpiece is a manual for life, teaching timeless principles that empower ordinary people to live with purpose, discipline, faith, and unwavering belief in themselves. The importance of this book cannot be overstated. Many self-help books are filled with techniques that fade as trends change. But The Greatest Salesman in the World stands apart because it focuses not on gimmicks, but on principles that have stood the test of centuries. Readers quickly discover that it is not about closing deals, but about opening one's heart to the philosophy of success and greatness. The book teaches us that success is not something we chase, it is something we attract by the person we become. And in that truth lies its universal appeal. Whether you are a salesperson, a teacher, a student, an entrepreneur, or someone simply searching for more meaning in your daily life, the wisdom within its pages speaks directly to you. Behind this extraordinary book was an extraordinary man, Og Mandino himself. Born in 1923 in Framingham, Massachusetts, Mandino's story is not one of privilege or easy success. In fact, it is a story of despair transformed into triumph. After serving as a bomber pilot in World War II, he returned home only to find himself adrift. He struggled with alcoholism, homelessness, and depression. At one point, he even contemplated ending his life. It was during his darkest hour, wandering through libraries to stay warm, that he stumbled upon books about success and motivation. Authors like Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone lit a spark in him, showing him that the human spirit, when guided by faith and principles, can rise from any setback. Mandino eventually overcame his struggles, found sobriety, and began a career in sales. But more importantly, he discovered his calling as a writer and speaker. His philosophy was simple yet profound. Every human being has untapped potential. And through discipline, love, and perseverance, anyone can rise to greatness. Unlike many motivational figures, Mandino did not preach from a pedestal of perfection. He spoke from scars, from pain, from lessons learned in the trenches of despair. That is why his words resonate with such authenticity. He was not writing theory, he was writing life. The purpose of The Greatest Salesman in the World is elegantly disguised within its story. It is told as a parable, set in ancient times, about a poor camel boy named Hafid who dreams of becoming the greatest salesman. He is entrusted with 10 ancient scrolls, each containing a principle of success. These scrolls are not about how to manipulate customers or pressure people into buying. Instead, they teach how to cultivate habits that build character, habits such as persistence, love, self-discipline, and living each day as if it were your last. In truth, the book's purpose is not to train salespeople, it is to awaken greatness within the reader. Mandino knew that selling is simply the act of influencing, and we are all salespeople in some form. Every day, we sell ideas, dreams, love, and hope to others. Parents sell lessons to children. Teachers sell knowledge to students. Leaders sell vision to their teams. Friends sell encouragement to one another. Therefore, the qualities of the greatest salesman are in fact the qualities of the greatest human being, one who lives with integrity, service, love, and resilience. This is why the book has remained relevant across generations. It does not matter what profession you are in, what culture you come from, or what challenges you face. The scrolls speak to the universal human experience. They remind us that greatness is not an accident, nor is it a gift reserved for the few. It is a choice, a discipline, a set of habits practiced daily. And when we embody these principles, success in any area of life becomes inevitable. Og Mandino's purpose was never to simply create another motivational book. His deeper purpose was to create a guide for living that could help anyone, anywhere, discover their inner worth and potential. He once said, "I will love the light for it shows me the way. Yet I will endure the darkness for it shows me the stars." This duality, of light and dark, struggle and triumph, is embedded in every page of The Greatest Salesman in the World. It acknowledges that life is not without hardship, but it also reminds us that hardship is the very soil in which greatness grows. Today, decades after its publication, millions of readers have found hope and direction through its pages. CEOs, entrepreneurs, athletes, and everyday people alike credit this book with changing their lives. It is carried in briefcases, kept on nightstands, and gifted to friends and family. Its size may be small, but its impact is immeasurable. And at a time when the world is filled with distractions and quick fixes, its timeless call to discipline, love, and purpose is more necessary than ever. To read The Greatest Salesman in the World is to engage in a personal conversation with Og Mandino himself, a man who knew the depths of despair and yet rose to inspire millions. It is to encounter a mirror that reflects not who you are today, but who you could become if you dared to apply its wisdom. Its importance is not in the words on the page, but in the transformation it sparks in the reader's life. The Scrolls of Wisdom, Lessons for a Life of Greatness. When you open The Greatest Salesman in the World, you are not just reading a story, you are being handed 10 ancient scrolls. 10 timeless principles that have guided men and women toward greatness for centuries. Each scroll contains a seed, and when planted in the soil of daily life, these seeds bloom into habits that shape destiny. Og Mandino knew that success is never built on quick tricks or shortcuts. True success is built on principles, and principles never change. Let us walk through these scrolls together, not merely as abstract ideas, but as living, breathing truths that you can apply in your everyday life. Scroll I. Today I begin a new life. The very first scroll opens with the most liberating truth of all. We can start fresh. No matter what mistakes lie behind us, no matter how many failures, missed opportunities, or broken promises, we are not chained to yesterday. Every sunrise brings with it a chance to begin again. Too often, people carry the weight of their past into the present, allowing old wounds to dictate new choices. This scroll declares freedom. It tells us that greatness does not belong to those who never stumble, but to those who rise again and again, determined to begin anew. Application. Each morning, affirm to yourself, "Today I begin a new life." If you failed yesterday, start again. If fear held you back, step forward anyway. Imagine a salesperson who lost a major deal the day before. Instead of wallowing in disappointment, they remind themselves of this principle. Pick up the phone and make the next call. That single act of beginning again may lead to their greatest victory. Real-life illustration. Consider J.K. Rowling, who faced rejection after rejection before Harry Potter was finally published. Had she given up because of her failures, millions of readers would have been deprived of her story. She simply began anew after every rejection. Scroll 2. I will greet this day with love in my heart. Of all the principles, perhaps none is more powerful than love. Love disarms anger, dissolves fear, and builds bridges where walls once stood. Mandino reminds us that love is not simply an emotion, it is a choice, a discipline, and the greatest tool of influence. Application. To apply this scroll, approach every person with kindness, even when it is difficult. In sales, it means caring more about serving the customer than making the sale. In leadership, it means seeing your team not as employees but as human beings with dreams, fears, and families. In family life, it means listening with patience and giving without expecting in return. Real-life illustration. Think of Nelson Mandela, who, after 27 years in prison, chose reconciliation over revenge. His ability to meet his former enemies with love transformed South Africa and inspired the world. Love has the power to heal nations, and also to heal the relationships in your own home. Scroll 3. I will persist until I succeed. Here lies one of the greatest truths in all of personal development. Persistence conquers all. Talent may sparkle for a moment. Luck may win a day. But persistence wins a lifetime. The world does not reward those who try once, it rewards those who refuse to quit. Application. When you face rejection, remember that every no brings you closer to a yes. If your business fails, try again. If you fall short of your goal, rise and pursue it once more. Success is not about avoiding obstacles, it is about outlasting them. Real-life illustration. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he replied, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is persistence embodied. Scroll IV. I am nature's greatest miracle. In a world that often pressures us to compare ourselves to others, this scroll shouts a bold truth: you are unique. There never has been, and never will be, another person exactly like you. Your fingerprints, your voice, your gifts, your story, they are unrepeatable. Application. Embrace your uniqueness. Instead of trying to copy others, focus on cultivating your own strengths. If you are in sales, your style may not match your colleagues, but your authenticity will resonate with the right people. In life, do not measure your worth by someone else's path, walk your own. Real-life illustration. Consider Steve Jobs, who did not try to replicate what others were doing in technology. He dared to create differently, and his uniqueness gave us the iPhone, the iPad, and a revolution in how we live and work. Scroll V. I will live this day as if it is my last. This scroll is a wake-up call. Life is fleeting, and tomorrow is never promised. When we live as if today is our last, we stop procrastinating, we stop wasting time on trivial things, and we start focusing on what truly matters. Application. Each morning, ask yourself, if today were my last day, how would I live it? Would you spend more time with your family? Would you work with more passion? Would you forgive someone you've held a grudge against? Let this mindset guide your decisions. Real-life illustration. Randy Pausch, the professor who delivered the famous last lecture after being diagnosed with terminal cancer, lived this principle. He chose to spend his final days inspiring millions, reminding us that time is limited, but the impact we leave can be eternal. Scroll V. Today I will be master of my emotions. Emotions are powerful servants but terrible masters. Anger, fear, sadness, they are natural, but when uncontrolled, they sabotage our success. This scroll teaches us to rise above our emotions, to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with impulse. Application. When you feel anger rising, pause before speaking. When fear grips you, act anyway. Train yourself to shift your state. Listen to uplifting music. Practice gratitude. Take deep breaths. Mastery over emotions is mastery over destiny. Real-life illustration. Think of Martin Luther King Jr., who faced hatred and violence, yet chose nonviolence and calm leadership. His ability to master his emotions, even under extreme provocation, changed the course of history. Scroll 7. I will laugh at the world. Laughter is the soul's release. It reminds us not to take ourselves too seriously, not to drown in despair, and not to forget the joy of life. When we laugh, stress dissolves and perspective returns. Application. Find humor in the everyday. When you face a setback, instead of sinking into self-pity, look for the lesson with a smile. Share laughter with others. It strengthens bonds and lightens burdens. Real-life illustration. Richard Branson, billionaire entrepreneur, is known not just for his business ventures but for his playful spirit. His humor, even in challenging times, has kept his teams motivated and his companies innovative. Scroll 8. Today I will multiply my value 100-fold. This scroll calls us to growth. We are not meant to stagnate. Each day is an opportunity to learn, to improve, to expand our capacity. By compounding small efforts over time, we multiply our value to the world. Application. Commit to lifelong learning. Read, study, practice, and refine your skills. Set a goal to improve even 1% each day. Over a year, those small gains create exponential growth. Real-life illustration. Consider Warren Buffett, who spends the majority of his day reading and learning. His commitment to growth has made him one of the most successful investors in history. His value multiplied not because of luck, but because of daily discipline. Scroll X. I will act now. Dreams are worthless without action. Plans are meaningless unless executed. This scroll urges us to seize the moment. Too many lives are wasted waiting for the right time, which never arrives. The time to act is now. Application. Stop delaying. Make the call. Start the project. Write the first page. Go to the gym. Tell your loved ones you appreciate them. Momentum begins with a single action. And once you begin, energy follows. Real-life illustration. Elon Musk didn't wait for perfect conditions to start SpaceX or Tesla. He acted despite uncertainty, and his boldness reshaped industries. Action, not hesitation, creates change. Scroll X. I will pray for guidance. The final scroll reminds us of humility. No matter how strong, talented, or determined we are not meant to walk this journey alone. Prayer, or meditation, reflection, or seeking higher guidance, grounds us, giving us strength beyond ourselves. Application. Begin and end each day with gratitude and reflection. Seek wisdom in moments of confusion. Trust that you are guided, even when the path seems unclear. Real-life illustration. Mahatma Gandhi began each day with prayer and reflection. His spiritual grounding empowered him to lead a movement of millions with peace and strength. These 10 scrolls are more than words on a page. They are tools for life. Together, they teach us to live with love, persistence, joy, growth, and faith. They remind us that greatness is not reserved for the few. It is available to anyone willing to practice these principles daily. When applied, they do not merely make you a better salesperson. They make you a better parent, leader, friend, and human being. When we close the last page of The Greatest Salesman in the World, we are not merely ending a story. We are stepping into a challenge, an invitation, and a promise. Og Mandino did not write this book to entertain us for an evening. He wrote it to transform the rest of our lives. The 10 scrolls are more than principles. They are practices that, when lived daily, awaken the greatness already within us. They remind us that success is not about tricks or shortcuts, nor about chasing what others have. It is about becoming disciplined enough to begin again each day, compassionate enough to greet the world with love, resilient enough to persist through storms, courageous enough to act now, and humble enough to seek guidance beyond ourselves. This is not a philosophy reserved for salespeople. It is a philosophy for parents raising children, for students chasing dreams, for leaders guiding teams, and for every person who dares to live with purpose. In truth, we are all salespeople. Each day, we sell hope to a friend, vision to a colleague, encouragement to a loved one. The question is not whether we are selling, it is whether what we are offering the world is worth buying. The beauty of Mandino's message is that greatness does not demand perfection. It only demands persistence. You don't need to master all 10 scrolls today. You simply need to begin, with one principle, one action, one step forward. Over time, these seeds grow into habits. And habits shape character. And character shapes destiny. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if you truly lived as though each day were a new beginning? If you greeted every person with love? If you refused to quit until you succeeded? If you multiplied your value 100-fold? If you acted boldly now, without waiting for tomorrow? Your life would transform. Your family would notice. Your colleagues would notice. Most importantly, you would notice. You would look in the mirror and see not just who you are, but who you were always meant to be. The world is hungry for men and women who live these principles, not just for success, but for significance. You have within you the ability to rise, to overcome, to inspire. You have within you the power to become the greatest salesman in the world. Not because of what you sell, but because of who you are. Let this book be more than words on a shelf. Let it be a call to action. Begin today. Begin now. Take the first step. Live with love. Persist with faith. Multiply your value, and watch as your life unfolds into a story of greatness. Og Mandino once said, "Always do your best. What you plant now, you will harvest later. The time to plant is today. The harvest of greatness is waiting." Subscribe to Awaken Greatness for more inspiring lessons. And comment below to share your thoughts.